What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have a very big update from Bungie with a whole ton of details about the March 27th update, particularly focusing on the Crucible and the Sandbox element of the game. We're going to hear about PvP changes, weapon buffs, Sandbox change in general, time to kill, even team shotting is mentioned inside of this update, but it is going to be a pretty long one guys. There's a lot of stuff to break down in here, so I'm just going to break down the information that they give us and I'll give a few thoughts where I can. Firstly though, Bungie did actually provide a short gameplay clip of what this update is going to look like, or at least a little bit of it, inside of the Crucible. Notably, we can see the sniper is looking pretty awesome. We can also see the hand cannon looking pretty awesome, and movement speeds as well as the snappiness of the weapons in general. Things do look quite a bit quicker, so just take a look at that preview.
Good counter. Now hit them again. Zone B captured. Zone advantage is yours. Vicious. All of you together, like Iron Lords. 2 down. You're pulling ahead.
Now that you've seen that preview, they can give us some context with what they're actually doing in this update. So jumping straight into the actual information, Kevin from the Crucible team, I'm dropping by to share details on how the rest of our changes heading into update 1.1.4, as Derek mentioned in last week's TWAB, so Iron Banner, Rumble and Mayhem are making their triumphant return to Destiny 2 with a few twists. Iron Banner has become 6v6, Mayhem features 90% fewer Nova Bombs, so they actually fixed the Nova Bomb glitch, and Rumble has welcomed 2 additional players into the fray. There is a lot to get excited about in update 1.1.4, but something the team really wanted to do was go back and refine the core experience. It was clear that the community felt there were 2 key areas for improvement with the Crucible: time to kill and team shotting, so we set our sights on reworking systems, mechanics and values to tackle those 2 areas. And he says, does this mean that you're changing time to kill in the game? When we looked at the core feedback on time to kill in the Crucible, we saw that it mostly stemmed from a lack of excitement or spikes of intensity that you all came to expect from a Destiny experience. This came in the form of feedback that stated the game was too slow or the core loop was too stale. We agree and have worked with the Sandbox to increase the pace of Crucible on the whole. So there are actually some PvP specific changes. This includes, things like respawn timers and everything like that. Respawn timers for quick play modes have been reduced to 2 seconds. For survival and countdown, it's been reduced to 7 seconds, and players no longer lose revive tokens on death. Power ammo respawn timers were adjusted across the board, so in Iron Banner reduced by 50%, in quick play reduced by 30%, in survival reduced by 40%, and countdown by 25%. In almost all cases, weapons either retained the same ammo count or received a buff, and swords and rockets were brought down to stay in line with the rest of the weapon offering. Of course, on top of this, enemy players now drop their power ammo upon death. And they say that some of these changes are going to coalesce to create an experience that relies less on clumping together with your team and focuses more on rewarding quick reflexes, thinking and movement. During development of 1.1.4, we realized that we'd reduced the team shotting in quick play and Iron Banner effectively, but we hadn't quite done the same in competitive. Knowing this, we looked for a change that reinforced the following goals: to reduce team clumping, reward individual plays, and incentivize flanks. And this is a big one. Starting in 1.1.4, we've opted to remove the tracker from all competitive and trials game modes. And this will mean that more communication is required to secure victories in competitive and trials matches. It means that those crispy flanks with power ammo are now more powerful. I think that's a very interesting change. That's a very, very big change to make. I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit, guys, but you'll have to let me know what you think about that. Now we get on to weapon and, bigger Sandbox specific stuff. And Josh Hamrick says the first thing you should know is that we're very excited for the update to go live. After weeks of solid playtesting with some external participants, we feel like this is really shaping up to be an update you'll be happy with. Huge shout out to everyone involved in helping the list of possible changes grow instead of shrink. And here is an updated updated version of the list they detailed for Sandbox specific changes. So they actually start out by breaking down the mobility changes we've heard about already. They are still on the list. But here, Dawnblade has actually been improved. This is something I really wanted to hear. So they've reduced the cost for throwing swords, allowing for 1 additional throw, increased the super duration extension gained from the everlasting fire, removed all in-air accuracy penalties while swift strike is active, and reduced the Icarus dash cooldown, as well as increasing the grenade and melee energy that the heat rises perk actually gives you per kill. And then they talk about invisibility on dodge as well as smoke grenade update. So invisibility on dodge no longer breaks aim assist or projectile tracking in PvP. That has been unchanged in PvE. So, you know, if you're shooting someone that's invisible, you will have the full amount of aim assist. Dodging will break both aim assist and projectile tracking, but only for the duration of the actual dodge. On top of this, they've increased the duration of invisibility on dodge by 1 second, as well as the duration of the smoke bomb invisibility by 1 second. Supers will recharge faster for everyone. There's actually been a cooldown reduction of 25%, and mods that reduce grenade, melee, and class ability cooldowns have been buffed to allow for up to 2 times faster cooldowns, but they do say that this will not be a replacement for mods 2.0. Now for weapon changes. So for pulse rifles, they've increased PvE damage for all pulses, they've increased the rate of fire for adaptive and high impact pulses, and they've increased the base damage for adaptive, high impact, and rapid fire pulses. And these sound like they're gonna, you know, be across the board, so they've actually, you know, buffed the damage of these pulse rifles, which is going to affect, you know, how quickly they kill. On top of this, they've increased the precision multiplier for lightweight pulses and decreased the precision multiplier for adaptive pulses. And this keeps precision damage close to where it is now, putting most of the stuff into body shots, though it is still an increase in precision damage overall. They've increased PvE damage for all scout rifles and increased base damage for high impact scouts. Hand cannons have had increased PvE damage across the board. They've increased the precision multiplier for precision hand cannons, increased hipfire accuracy on consoles, and increased ADS accuracy on consoles. So hand cannons should feel quite a bit snappier. For sidearms, we've got increased PvE damage, increased hipfire accuracy across the board, increased ADS accuracy, increased inventory size, allowing more reserve ammo to be stored, increased minimum range, and added an ADS movement bonus. It's worth saying that they're not giving us specific numbers right here, but obviously, you know, there is a damage increase. They have increased PvE damage for all SMGs. They've set the optics to 1.3 times and increased inventory size. For linear fusions, there is an increase for PvE damage, increased precision multiplier, increased aim assist, and reduced flinch multiplier. Shotguns have increased PvE damage for all shotguns, increased inventory size, increased aim assist for Suros precision shotguns, and for sniper rifles, increased PvE damage for all snipers, increased precision multiplier, increased aim assist, and increased inventory size, allowing more reserve ammo to be stored. They have previously said that there are other issues they plan to fix in the long term, but you know, these aim assist buffs are the first kind of pass on snipers, I guess. They've increased the grenade launcher blast radius, so that's definitely positive. Decreased range and aim assist stats for precision auto rifles, so things like Uriels gift base damage is not changed, but the range has effectively been reduced, as well as the aim assist, so Uriels gift is potentially not going to plague the Crucible quite as much, or that whole 450 RPM archetype might not be, you know, quite as prevalent, or at least it's going to open up the space for things like pulse rifles, you know. And assuming they are balancing other weapons, things like the pulse rifles, around the rough time to kill of Uriel's gift, then that gives you an idea of the potential time to kill we might see. But of course, that will be for most types of weapon and not just 450 RPM autos. On top of this though, a few weapon perks are getting some updates. So high impact reserves has increased PvE damage, kill clip has increased PvE damage, rampage has increased PvE damage and increased duration, dragonfly increased damage with increased radius and stronger visual effects. That sounds really good. Dragonfly has definitely been very underpowered. Grave robber reloads 0.5 magazine instead of 0.3, and timed payload splits damage 55 explosive and 45 direct instead of a previous split, which was more direct damage. For explosive rounds, they've decreased the PvE explosive rounds damage. This decrease has been to compensate with the PvE increase of damage for the base scout rifle. So overall, this shouldn't mean a nerf at all. Explosive rounds has been reduced just so that it isn't really strong on the scouts that have actually been buffed. But of course, we'll have to see how this actually plays out. Up next, they talk about the mods rework, but they say first, let's talk about the changes to the potency of ability cooldown mods. In our last update, update, we mentioned that we're going to wait and buff ability cooldowns at the same time that we drop the mod's rework. Over the last few weeks, it has become obvious that the mod rework is going to need more time to come together due to the scope of the changes. That decision, which was already been accounted for in the last roadmap that you saw, is ultimately going to be a win for all of us. It gives us more time to deliver something we believe will add value to the game. However, we understood we should not delay much needed improvements to ability cooldowns, so while there are many improvements to mods planned for the future, we're going to greatly increase the output for ability cooldown mods in the update. And of course, that's what they said before, you being able to, double basically the cooldown on things. And that's definitely going to be positive as far as these cooldowns go. He finishes by saying in the last update they mentioned how they had a nasty bug crept into the sniper scopes. So they have good news, the fix has been implemented and those changes will go live in update 1.2.0, so they will be able to reduce sniper flinch. They do finish by saying, we know these aren't the only changes we'll need to make to address feedback, it's just the first leg of a journey. We hope this makes the game more fun for all of you, and that begins to bring back hero moments and makes you feel a bit more like tiny gods, but we also hope you know that there is more to come and that this gets you excited to come along for the ride. So guys, a whole ton of information about the sandbox right there, quite a lot of stuff to digest really. Some key takeaways are though that they are buffing, some of those archetypes that really need some love. I think the hand cannon changes definitely sound positive, they're going to be snappier. Pulse rifles hopefully are going to perform better, especially considering the auto rifle kind of range reduction that they're doing. That's going to kind of open up that slot, for the pulse rifles to perform a little bit better in that kind of longer medium range space, and that's definitely where pulse rifles need to be the strongest. So I think those kind of changes are definitely positive. We'll have to see how the shotgun and current sniper rifle changes play out. I think generally the stuff we're seeing about weapons there is a pretty good starting point. Of course, we have to actually play this stuff. You can read it on paper, but it's very difficult to get an idea of what it actually feels like until you play it. I'm also pleased about that ability cooldown decrease, that's going to be good. But you'll have to let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, as they said, this is just a small part of basically fixing Destiny 2. But hopefully if they can make the gameplay more fun, then, when there is new content, it's generally going to be a better experience. We'll have to see what happens. But if you have found the video useful, a like is very much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see more Destiny 2 content. For now though, I hope you guys have an awesome day.